welcome in, and it is Friday if you're watching this show, and we hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday and ate all you could eat, and we appreciate you taking some time to watch today's show. If you are
as you recover,
sitting on the couch, maybe recovering from
maybe eating some leftovers.
That second day leftover sandwich is the best, maybe the best thing about Thanksgiving.
That warmed up turkey and dressing, sweet potato casserole.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah, the second day is almost as good as the first.
It really is.
Yeah,
because you had to work for it on Thanksgiving.
Thursday. On Friday, it's just there.
Yeah, but on Friday, it's just you've relaxed and you didn't have to put in a whole lot of effort. Just throw it in the microwave.
Well, depending on how complicated your microwave is.
Oh, you got a complicated microwave? That's
you got to make sure that you cook time and that kind of thing. Yeah, and sometimes the microwave's smarter than you, that kind of thing.
So. I am one of these people who wants to do the muffin tins, where you put the leftovers in the muffin tins and then throw in the oven.
Well, if you put it in the muffin tins, you have to throw it in the oven.
Yeah, but
don't put it in the microwave if you got it in the muffin tins.
But about 11 o'clock on Friday, put it in the oven for about 30 minutes or so.
I don't want it that early.
No, at 11:30? I definitely want to eat lunch at 11:30. Because I'm not eating breakfast on Friday because I'm sleeping in.
True.
So I'm gonna need something a little earlier than 12:30. That's where I'm at. So.
Well, I'm not eating that early though. I might
get
something, but
I'm gonna eat it all day.
Turkey and dressing for breakfast
all day.
Come on,
no, I'm not eating breakfast. I'm eating brunch. I might even have a mimosa with it. Who knows?
There you go.
At that point, it's Friday. I ain't got no job. It ain't nothing to do.
And you don't have to worry about getting fired on your day off, right?
Well, I don't know. Oh, man. Well, we've got a great show, and it's going to be very timely and topical. So stick around. We've got college football picks coming up here in just a moment as well. But before we do any of that, we do want to get you this weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
High school football, Division I football semifinals. These games are all local times to the host school. Giles County is at Alcoa. They'll all be at 7 p.m. Again, local time. Giles County at Alcoa. Bradley Central hosting Oakland. Houston will be at Brentwood. East Nashville's at home against Dyersburg. Southwind comes to Page. Haywood goes to Pearl-Cohn this year. And East Robertson will be at York Institute. All 7 o'clock kicks local to the host school. Girls basketball. Earlier today, Upperman took on Wilson Central. Also, Whites Creek and Culleoka at noon. At 1:30, Eagleville and Columbia Academy tipped off. Just moments ago, it's Bradley Central hosting Stewart's Creek. At 3 o'clock, you can catch Forest and Maplewood. At 4:30, Sycamore and Columbia Central. These are all at the Lady Eagles Turkey Day shootout
at
Ezel Harding.
Yep.
So, a lot of great ones there. Westmoreland's at Lebanon at 5:30. At 6, it's Webb School and Brentwood. And at 7:30 at Ezel Harding in that Turkey Day shootout is Hillsboro at Ezel Harding.
Boys basketball today, this game I would think is done because it was scheduled to start at 10. Brentwood and Upperman played at 1. So currently ongoing, you would think. Stewart's Creek and Oakland are playing. I'm not sure where. Also at 1, Wilson Central and Pope Prep tipped off. At 2:30, it will be Livingston Academy and Providence Christian. Also at 2:30, it's Whites Creek and Lipscomb Academy. At 4 o'clock, Cannon County and Rockvale will face off. At 7, Clarksville Northeast plays at Lebanon. And at 7:30, Brentwood Academy is at Siegel. Men's basketball action today at 11 o'clock, Mercer and Tennessee State play each other. So that one's probably over with by now. 1 o'clock, UNC Asheville and Lipscomb. 1 o'clock on ESPN Plus, so you can probably catch this one, but don't do that. Stay here. Monmouth and Belmont are playing. At 6:45 on GSAC Net, it's Arizona Christian and Cumberland. And at 3:30 on Flow Hoops, you can see Middle Tennessee State and Illinois Chicago.
On Saturday in men's play, Bowling Green and Lipscomb at 6 p.m. Penn and Belmont on ESPN Plus at 3:30. Columbia International takes on Cumberland at 3:15 on the GSAC network. Fisk is at Bethel at 4 o'clock, and Tennessee State takes on the winner or loser, depending on their result, of SELA, Southeastern Louisiana, and Western Michigan. That's a time to be determined, but it will be on Flow Hoops. Sunday, catch Lafayette and Belmont at 11 a.m. on ESPN Plus. Wofford and Lipscomb at 12:30. And then Austin P is at Appalachian State at 12:30 on ESPN Plus, making the cross-country trip from California to Boone. Oof. Women's basketball this weekend. Friday night action, Tennessee State takes on William & Mary. That's actually ongoing now. 3 o'clock, Austin P is taking on Kansas City at 3:30. It's Vanderbilt and Iowa State on Flow Hoops. And Belmont has Florida State or Northwestern on Flow Hoops at a time to be determined. Saturday, Austin P and Chicago State at 11:30. Tennessee and Oklahoma at 12:30 on the Women's Sports Network. I don't know what that is, where it is, don't have a clue, but Google it, I guess. Vanderbilt and Northern Iowa at 3:30 on Flow Hoops. Sunday, Belmont is at Southern Illinois, Edwardsville at 1 o'clock. And Tennessee State has either Florida International or Bryant at a time to be determined.
In the association today, 4 o'clock, you can see it on NBA TV. Phoenix comes to the FedEx Forum taking on the Grizzlies. And at 5 Sunday on Valley Sports South, the Timberwolves of Minnesota will be taking on the host Grizzlies on the ice. Winnipeg comes to Bridgestone Arena Sunday, 7 o'clock puck drop. You can see it on Valley Sports South as they face the Predators. College football action of area interest on Saturday, 11 o'clock. ESPN Plus has Middle Tennessee State taking on host Sam Houston State, the Bearcats with a K. In FCS postseason play, Chattanooga is at Austin P. That game is on ESPN Plus as well. It's a 2 o'clock kick. And in Conference USA action, Jack State, stay cocky, at New Mexico State, Diego Pavia and the guys. That's a 3 o'clock kick on ESPN Plus. NFL action Sunday, 12 noon on Fox. Carolina is at Nissan Stadium against the host Tennessee Titans. And that is your rundown. Play this weekend?
Tennessee and Vanderbilt do play this weekend. I apologize. I was kind of hoping that we'd just forget about it, but it wasn't going to happen. But yes, they do play this weekend. I believe it is the 6 o'clock
2:30 kick on the SEC Network. Yes,
Derek Mason as analyst.
That should be interesting.
that'll be worth it.
Might be a little spicy.
That'll be worth watching it.
Exactly.
The top story is brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Make sure to go by and see our friends there at Piggly Wiggly. They've got fresh hand-cut meats, great deli for your lunch specials, and great produce as well. All cost plus 10 at the register. Piggly Wiggly Neely's Mill Shopping Center here in Columbia. Our top story.
Hang on.
What you got?
Our stink bug from Wednesday.
Still here.
Still running around. He's over there on your courts now.
Which is amazing considering we're wearing the same clothes that we wore on Wednesday.
Go figure.
No, right? It's just like it's like a time warp.
Let's do the time warp again. Huh?
Oh, man.
Okay. You were saying.
Live Golf announced their world tour schedule on Wednesday, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it, so figured we'd talk about it today. Nashville on the schedule at the Grove. And is that the one in College Grove?
That is the one in College Grove. So it's not really Nashville, but it is Nashville. Yeah.
It's the Nashville metro area. Down in, but look, hey, this is a fantastic course, and this is really interesting that Nashville is on this list because El Camaleon in Mexico City, Las Vegas Country Club, Hong Kong Golf Club, somewhere in Saudi Arabia to be announced, the Grange in Adelaide, Singapore, Houston, Andalusia, the UK, and Greenbrier. Where is this? I don't know where. I guess that's
Greenbrier
also in the UK somewhere.
Is it? No, I think that it says in the US, the old white at the Greenbrier, USA. I think that's in West Virginia, isn't it?
Columbia. Oh no, yeah, Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. There you go. Got it. So yeah, it is a.
So they have a number of U.S. stops.
But also Nashville on the list with those places is really impressive.
Well, to steal a phrase from Coach Clitt, everyone wants to be in Nashville.
They really do. They will air on the U.S. on Saturdays and Sundays on the CW. Of course, the CW app and Live Golf Plus, with Friday rounds carried on CW app and Live Golf Plus. Live Golf tournaments are carried globally on Live Golf Plus and the YouTube channel.
So they've got 12 dates currently set for 2024, and 5 of them are in the U.S. Vegas, one that is undetermined apparently, Houston, Nashville, and Greenbrier.
Yeah, and they're actually playing on Super Bowl Sunday weekend. They'll conclude on Saturday ahead of the Super Bowl, which is smart.
Yeah. So they're going to play what, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday then?
I think they just.
Do they only play 3?
They just play 3.
Okay.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday on that one, but the remaining will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday events, including here in Nashville, June 21st through the 23rd, which is the weekend ahead before Nashville Super Speedway weekend. So that's also really interesting.
Just make a big week of it.
It stick around and have a good time. And that's probably one of us. That's Fanfare is the first weekend of June. So it's a lot going on though. So should be interesting. Should be fun. Of course, if you are out there, you'll get to see folks like Taylor Gooch, Bryson DeChambeau, Cameron Smith, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Bubba Watson, Martin Kamer. All those guys will be playing in these tournaments as part of their teams. So it's gonna be fantastic to see a major golf tour make a stop here in Nashville.
I mean, those names that you just ripped off, it's a major golf tournament.
Absolutely. So looking forward to it and looking forward to this great show. We've got several of our, again, timely, informative guests coming up. So stick around. And at the end of the show, we'll, of course, have our college football picks, which kind of stinks because some of the picks that, some of the games we'd like to pick will have already been played.
Yeah.
But that's unfortunate. So anyway, we got 10 games. We're going to pick them. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Maurice Patton here on this Top 5 Tuesday. Again, top 5 worst contracts in sports history coming up later in the show. Should be fun. Perhaps on the list, maybe 2 of the contracts we're about to talk about, with Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 joining us as Vanderbilt is on the struggle bus a little bit. And I'm curious, Chris, how this is going to play out over the next few years. But first, welcome. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Chris. Conversation that none of us wants to have, but which of the situations are the bigger concern on West End right now, football or basketball, men's basketball?
Depends on the day and who's lost last. There's been a lot of that going around. Honestly, I think it's football, and this is why. And I'm going to go a long way around to get back to something. Mm-hmm. 5 years ago, Tennessee fans laughed at Vanderbilt fans for caring about baseball. If this year both teams go to Omaha, who do you think is going to take the bigger fan base to Omaha?
I would think that's a hell of a question. For one thing, I think Vanderbilt because they're more invested.
I think it's Tennessee. I do.
You think
I think they take more to Hoover. I think they take more to Omaha.
Well, they have more to choose from.
Yeah, they have
yes,
more.
and why? And this is what I'm getting at. Why does Tennessee? If I'm right, why does Tennessee have a bigger fan base? It all goes back to football. They have had decades of success. I don't know if they're a blue blood program, but they're a great, proud program that's won national titles and all things, and Vanderbilt is what it is. And here's what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. Your football fan base basically determines your altitude for everything. Okay. When your product is awful and nobody wants to go it, you have no fans, which is almost what they have right now. It is affecting things in Memorial Gymnasium. I think it affects their altitude with how many fans they can get, because used to be you would have people that would maybe cheer for Tennessee football and then cheer for Vanderbilt baseball. And when those guys are forced to make a choice, they're not going to go. All right, if they're gonna pick a side, they're not going to side with the one that's Vanderbilt football. I don't think. I think they're going to. Okay, now we got a good baseball team. I'll go cheer for these guys. I think football it's the one that drives the TV contracts. It's the one that drives the cash for everything. It's the one that gets the biggest check for coaches. Football is always king, even in a place like Vanderbilt. And so I think, look, basketball, historically, that is their proudest program. And boy, they're on some hard times there too. But I think when football gets this bad, and I mean, guys, I don't think they've had 10,000 of their own fans in their own stadium for an SEC game this year. Now they've had 10,000 of other people's fans, but I think when football gets this bad, it causes you problems everywhere.
That makes sense. Yeah. Which one do you think is closer to turning a corner?
The right answer is neither. If I had to pick one, it's basketball, because they at least got to the NIT the last 2 years. Football, they're not going to win in Knoxville in a couple of weekends. And that schedule next year, I don't have it in front of me, but it's brutal. Texas is on there. I think they pick up SMU and Virginia Tech out of conference. They're staring at a 1 to 2 win season again next year. I mean, in basketball, we saw them last year. I don't think this team is as good this year as last year, but Jerry Stackhouse has done some stuff in February most years that people didn't see coming. So I think by process of elimination that it can't be football, it has to be basketball, plus some history. That would be my answer.
Jerry Stackhouse has done some things in February. Jerry Stackhouse has also done some things in November. Chris, what is up?
We're not doing some things in November. He's and you see the same stubbornness that he's pulled every year. You see a coach that still refers to it, or I think it has the preseason. He looks at it like an NBA team, I guess, with 80-something games to play with in an exhibition season, trying to get his rotation right and everything. And he swore he wasn't going to do it again this year. Now, look, he had a little bit of an excuse with 3 key players out, 2 of whom are starters. And I think those guys will be out again tonight, which is probably a reason why the line went from 3.5 to 1.5 tonight, I believe, last I checked. So I don't know. I see a guy that's inflexible. I mean, you can say, well, he's missing those guys, and he had to play some guys off the pitch. That's true. He also left Ezra Mannion on the bench for the final 16:04 the first half the other night. He comes in the second half, the only guy that can do anything, and if they play him the whole game, I think maybe they beat Presbyterian, but they didn't. I just think there's some pig-headedness that he doesn't seem to get out of his system till later in the year that looks like it's going to bite him again this year.
How many times can he get away with it?
I don't know. A lot of people think it's either NCAA tournament or bust for him this year. So we'll see.
Wow. And that's the interesting, obviously considering that he just got an extension and how much of the construction and all the money going into the facilities is kind of tied to that. I mean, obviously you have to have success because you got to pay for those things, but also you need stability in your programs to, especially at a place like Vanderbilt. So it really feels like a very difficult thing to manage if you're Candace Lee.
Yeah, I don't think it's – I mean, maybe it makes the job if you make a change this offseason more attractive for the next guy, because this time next year the basketball facility will be done. Mm-hmm. I don't know that it changes anything. I mean, if he doesn't make the NCAA for the 5th straight year this year, I think he's, probably going to meet the same fate, facilities or no facilities. I mean, fans expect them to win there in basketball. Even when football's been awful, they've had good basketball programs. Now, the rest of the league's gotten a lot better, and it takes a lot more seriously, but I don't know that part changes much.
Has Vanderbilt ever missed the NCAA's 5 years in a row?
Yeah. Some of that was back when the tournament was 16 teams or whatever, or 8, a lot. But if you go to the 64 team era, which started when, Mo? Late 80s, early 90s? Late 80s, I think.
Yeah.
They had that stretch in the 90s under Van Bredekoff. I think they got there once. They had the stretch under Stallings where they should have gone the first year, didn't. And I think his 4th or 5th year they went. And then from that point on, they were there a lot. But they haven't been since Bryce Drew's middle year of his 3. And so that's 1 year after that, 4 years in between. So this would be 6 years in a row they've missed it if they miss it.
Missed it
and they I don't know that they have missed it 6 years in a row in this 64 to 68 era. I'd have to look it up, but if not, it's close.
From 97 to 03-04, the 97-98 season, Jeff Van Bredekoff, and the first 4 years of the Stallings era did not go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. And they should have been Kevin's first year. The committee just goofed with the selection. They should have been an 8 or 9 seed and just weren't. I think Arkansas won the SEC tournament, expectedly wasn't in. The committee had to scramble to make room, and they got the short end. But that was clearly an 8 or 9 resume.
But that's the only other time that I can find a time, a length of time that far or that long.
Meanwhile, I felt like Clark Lee was as close to a home run hire as Vanderbilt could make, from the standpoint that he is a former Vanderbilt player and that he would be able to relate to the Vanderbilt playing experience unlike anybody else, and be able to go into homes and convey that to kids and parents. If he can't get it right, Chris, who can?
That's a good one. Look, here's the bigger question against the backdrop of what you guys are asking me. I've done the loose math in my head. The last time they made a good hire in the 4 major sports, if you include women's basketball, and it was about 2010 when they hired James Franklin. So it's not just that; it's the who do you replace him with, and the other thing. And look, I think Clark is. I don't think he did a good job this year. I think you'll see some changes. I have some questions that will coaching changes and coordinator changes and whatever's coming next change all of it. Now, I think some things with Clark Lee will have to change too. But here's the crazy thing, guys. For decades, everybody's been screaming facilities. I think those will help, and it'll help morale. But the game changed. Literally between the time they drew up the plans and broke the ground, the whole game changed with NIL. They got caught flat-footed with that. I think even if facilities were done today, I think you could make the case that the way they were unprepared with everything else, that it's a tougher job than it's ever been, because the SEC is so competitive. You got a school that you play in your league sometimes that just paid $77 million just to clear the deck to get a new guy. It's like buying a PSL for the Titans. You haven't even paid a penny on your tickets, and you got to buy the PSL first, and a real expensive PSL of that. I've always thought that if Vanderbilt were creative, that's not even the word. You don't have to be creative. Everybody knows what the game is. I think we all believe kids have been getting money for decades. It was almost impossible for the NCAA to catch anybody. If you want to play by the rules, you were at a disadvantage. And I thought with all the resources at Vanderbilt, done right, NIL should level the playing field for them. And instead, they got caught unprepared for it. And here they are, where it feels like the gap is as big as it's ever been.
That being said, I mean, can Vanderbilt compete on that side of the football landscape? I mean, obviously you've got guys like, like Ray Davis just leaving. I mean, if they're basically a farm team for everyone else at this point, just like many Group of Five teams have found themselves in. So how does Vanderbilt compete? I mean, do they have the ability to do it in the NIL era?
Oh yeah, see, this is the crazy thing. There's a dorm that they just built within the last few years that almost casts a shadow on their football stadium. I think the whole thing cost about $1 billion. They've got mega donors at their disposal that will call and write 8-figure checks, no sweat off their brow. That points to the ability to raise money. Now you got to make the compelling case. I think it's a lot easier to call somebody and say, "Hey, will you write a $50 million check for this, and we'll put your name on it." That appeals to people's ego when you're writing a check and you're nameless and faceless, and it's NIL. And I don't think people can get their heads around paying kids yet. Now we can get our heads around paying Jimbo Fisher $77 million to go away. We can't get our heads around paying a kid $10,000 to come play football when they're the ones that are raising the revenue. So I think you got an adjustment in thinking, especially a place like Vanderbilt. But I just point to that dorm and say, yeah, I mean, somebody told me they've got about 30 mega donors over there that they just count on for everything. And I don't think it would take much to ask one guy to say, hey, look, you can revolutionize our football program with one check if you're willing to do it. Now, the problem is people that have that kind of money want to see it as an investment. When you make a brick and mortar thing, you know exactly what you're getting. You know exactly what it's going to look like. I think when your football coach is losing a lot of games, people are going, wait, am I just throwing good money after bad if we're not winning here? And that's the situation they're in.
Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Excuse me. Chris, not to continue to throw shade at the Vanderbilt administration, but about this time last year, a contract extension was announced for Jerry Stackhouse. During the SEC football media days, a contract extension was announced for Clark Lee. Does that make this situation even worse?
Allegedly not. Allegedly, it didn't change a whole lot with buyouts and stuff. I think it's been said.
I mean more from an appearance standpoint.
Well, yeah, I mean, trust me. You hear fans griping about that. Now, the justification was, help out in recruiting, help a coach, because it's hard to recruit if recruits think you're a lame duck coach. So I get it. If it didn't really. If it doesn't make it any harder, if what has been out there circulated, I'm sure that's coming from people at Vandy trying to defend themselves in case this goes wrong. But it also may not be wrong either. I think if it doesn't make it harder to separate from a coach, if it goes wrong, I've got no problem with it. Does it give fans one more thing to gripe about in the meantime? Sure. Mm-hmm. If you can write a check at the end of the season, make it all go away, nobody's going to care.
And you're right. I mean, this is such a weird situation for a weird time in the world of college athletics. Does Vanderbilt just? I mean, they're not going anywhere. They get plenty of money from the SEC, but are they hoping that whatever happens in Congress, helps level the playing field for them? Or it just seems like a really weird situation for everybody involved. And I just don't know how Vanderbilt long-term competes in the Southeastern Conference.
I think
outside of,
yeah,
at this point.
No, I think you're your question's a good one, because I think there was some hope placed there. And I think if there's one body that you should trust less to solve a problem than the NCAA, it's Congress. So, I mean, why you would ever think that way, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think it is finally dawned on them over the last summer that, hey, and Tyron Lawrence might have been that match that lit the fuse, maybe. And they did get him back with some money. I think some NIL started rolling in with that one. So I think they have come to realize, and I put part of this on Clark Lee. If the university is hiring a professor for their law school, and they say, hey, you can go to Georgetown, and we want you to come here for 1/10 of the money because we're Vanderbilt. And you know, you're not part of us yet, but come by in and take pride. Well, you know, the law school's got a decidedly better track record than the football team, and it's not going to fly there. So it's not going to fly in football. I think that realization has finally dawned on them. I do think that they've had some pretty significant success of late raising money for NIL. It's not anywhere near where everybody else is, but I bet it's probably 5 to 10 times what they had last year. So, I mean, there's at least that. There's some progress. There's some, and I've heard a figure, but I think I got that in confidence. I don't really want to share it here, but it was a lot more significant than what they've had. Now, again, they still got strides to make, and even if their money was, say, on par with Ole Miss's or whatever, for the same money you look at Ole Miss, if you're a football player, you're probably thinking maybe less schoolwork, better chance at winning games. So, you know, it only levels the playing field at best, and probably not if we're being realistic about it. But that's a long way of answering. I think that they're shifting, their thinking has shifted some, but it's taken them so long to get here, and now the product is so bad. The appeal for that, I think, is a lot harder.
Chris Lee, Southeastern 14 here on Main Street Sports Today. Chris, thanks for taking time and trying to hash out the situation on West End, because, you know, obviously we would love for Vanderbilt to be successful in all things. It makes Middle Tennessee a more vibrant place in the world of sports. And so, you know, any team in Middle Tennessee we would like to see succeed. So, and people as good as Clark Lee deserve to succeed. Yeah. So, you know, hopefully things can get to a point where Vanderbilt is prepared to let them succeed. Until then,
and their fans have been through it a lot too, and that's a bunch that you would. God knows if a fan base deserves something good at this point, it's the ones that have hung on over there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Question.
No doubt. Chris, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, man.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Tom Hamilton coming in with the comment from our last segment. MTSU ought to take a page from Tennessee Tech. Tom Hamilton's words? Nah. Chris Yao and Mo Patton here on this Top 5 Tuesday.
Retweets are not endorsements.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
But I will also tell Tom Hamilton, I'm not confirming or denying. How's that?
How you feel?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's talk a little bit about Austin Peay and the Governors, who also will be postseason bound.
Yeah, they're not talking about getting rid of coaches in Clarksville.
No, they're not. And Brady McATAMNey comes to us to talk a little bit about it. And pretty exciting year of football up in Clarksville, Brady.
It's been very exciting. I mean, a lot of Austin Peay fans in the area have been just absolutely thrilled. And funny enough, it didn't start too exciting. They started the year by getting their butts kicked at Southern Illinois. Then they went to Knoxville and played, a pretty decently competitive game against the Vols, and about as competitive as an FCS team will play. A good team in the SEC like that. So they kind of credit that to being kind of where their season turned around, and since then they have not lost.
You mentioned losing to Southern Illinois in the season opener. Trust me when I tell you, there is no shame in losing to Southern Illinois.
No, especially when they're going up at Southern Illinois and playing the Salukis up there. So, but like I said, they got their butts handed to them. And Scotty Walton has since said that, that's kind of they kind of thank them for that, because it kind of gave them a wake up call and kind of showed them that, they couldn't be doing things the way they thought they were. And like I said, since then, it's just been absolutely just dominance from the Governors.
It absolutely has. You look at this schedule, and we were talking during the commercial break, Mo, Gardner Webb won the OVC Big South, and they absolutely just demolished
Gardner Webb
at the Fort. So yeah,
what hand did you have in the Fort, Brady? Was that organic, or is that something that Austin Peay has been pushing, or out at the Fort for Fortero Stadium working?
It's been the Fort since I got here. I moved to Clarksville in 2019, and as long as I can remember, it's been the Fort. So it's a good nickname for a stadium, if you ask me.
It is. It absolutely
particularly
is.
In Clarksville.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They've been battling at the Fort. In addition to that win over Gardner Webb, they defeated North Alabama by 10 at home. Defeated Utah Tech a couple of weeks ago to put themselves in position to seal the UAC championship and the automatic bid with that 14-12 win over Central Arkansas Saturday. That sounds like that was a heck of a ball game.
It was, and we actually had Russell Venozzi there covering the game as I've been out of town since Friday. But yeah, it was just a great game. Those were the two top offenses in the UAC, if you can believe it by looking at that
14-12.
Of course, right?
Those are the top offenses, man. So, but as you can tell, those defenses just came to play. Austin Peay really has a good defensive coordinator in J.J. Clark, and they're lucky to have him, because their defensive coordinator from the past couple seasons, Chris Kappas, actually left during the off season to go coach a high school team, be closer with his family, and they were lucky to have a guy that could step right in and lead this defense, because as you can tell, they wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for that defense. As good as the offense is, as good as Mike DeLillo is, they don't win that game if their defense doesn't go out there and hold UCA to 12 points.
You mentioned Southern Illinois and Tennessee to start the season. That 30-13 loss at Neyland Stadium was Austin Peay's last loss. They go into the postseason 9-2, and you want to be hot heading into the postseason. They have to be pleased with the way they're playing right now on both sides of the ball, I would think.
Yeah, the 9-game winning streak they're on right now is actually the longest in program history. So they want to see how long that they can extend this program best to, maybe see if they can get it to 12 games or something. That would be pretty ideal for those guys. But yeah, I mean, they're as hot as they've ever been. They had that obviously incredible 2019 season under Mark Hudspeth, and we kind of know how that ended with that whole era. But they were lucky to get a guy like Scotty Walden. I mean, if you see this guy on Twitter or you spend a minute around him or watch him coaching on the sideline, this guy just brings all the juice and all the energy to this Austin Peay group. And they're still trying to flip the script on what people think of when they hear the name Austin Peay, because you hear Austin Peay, you think, oh, these guys can't win a damn game. I mean, they lost 30-something games in a row in the 2010s, and they hadn't won a conference since the 70s until 2019. So they're still trying to earn that respect. And we saw last year they thought they had enough for an at-large bid, 7-1 against FCS teams. Didn't get that bid. They thought they had enough to get a seed this year. Didn't get the seed. So they still feel like they are getting disrespected just because of their name and not for their body of work.
It's understandable.
You mentioned that 9-game win streak. It is the second longest, I guess, in FCS. They are tied with Florida A&M of the SWAC. Mm-hmm. South Dakota State has won 25 straight, and they are the number 1 national seed. SDSU is. Scotty Walden, a finalist, for the Eddie Robinson Award, which goes to the top coach in FCS. Mike DeLello, a Walter Payton finalist award for the top offensive player in FCS. So, I mean, to the victors go the spoils, I guess. I mean, again, this team is suddenly garnering a lot of attention as they have picked up their second FCS playoff berth.
Yeah, and it's much deserved. I mean, bringing up Mike DeLillo's stats here, he's already the most decorated quarterback in Austin Peay history, and it's just been 2 seasons. I mean, he's got all-time passing touchdowns. He's got like pretty much every single game record, most yards, most touchdowns, all of that. This season, he just passed for over 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. Pretty solid rushing quarterback as well. He's at net 199 yards, but of course, in college, you lose rushing yards for sacks. So he's gained 458 rushing yards, down to 199 from sacks, but 5 rushing touchdowns as well. This guy is he's the lifeblood of this offense. And of course, Scotty Walden is an offensive guy. He played quarterback himself as at a D3 school, actually, in Texas, before becoming the youngest head coach in the FCS when he was hired. So this guy knows how to connect with these younger guys. He is a quarterback whisperer, if you still like using that term, Jim Harbaugh style. And you're seeing it with Mike DeLillo. Of course, that's a former Blue Raider, former Florida Tech guy, where, of course, he had to leave there once they lost their football program. Mm-hmm. But he's just been absolutely excellent with the Governors, and it's helped that they've got a really good running back this year in Javon Jackson. He is over 1,000 rushing yards this season. Bless you, Chris. One of only 7 Governors all time to go over 1,000 rushing yards. He's at 1,189 with 8 rushing touchdowns. And he's been carrying a lot of the load because C.J. Evans Jr. has played just 3 games this year before ending his season. He was expected to be – they were kind of expected to be a Thunder and Lightning duo, with Javon Jackson being the Thunder. And C.J. Evans, like I said, played just 3 games, took just 29 carries for 153 total yards, so pretty efficient. But since then, it's been all Javon Jackson. I mean, he's had games where he's been over 30 carries, so they've been riding that guy, and he has not disappointed.
Chattanooga coming in 7-4 overall, 6-2, the number 3 team in the Southern Conference, and the Southern Conference kind of speaks for itself. Traditionally, one of the tougher conferences in FCS. So, even though you guys got this game at home, even though Austin Peay got this game at home, the committee didn't necessarily do them any favors, and a win over Chattanooga sends Austin Peay to SoCon champion Furman.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome to the party.
Exactly.
Here's what you got.
Yeah, you get to this point in the season. I mean, you're not going up against any cupcakes. You're not seeing any Presbyterians or teams like Austin Peay beat the living crap out of earlier this season, like ETSU, who of course just fired Maryville legend George Quarles. You're getting good teams, and Chattanooga definitely fits the bill there. Scotty Walton's going to be having a press conference tomorrow to talk about that game. That they're getting juiced up. Chattanooga's juiced up. They don't have to go too far. The I-20, a little bit of a battle of I-24 there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I imagine Forterra Stadium is going to get pretty filled up, even though it is a holiday weekend. Gov Nation, I know, is absolutely excited because this is their first time being in the playoffs in 4 years. Before that, it was never that they had been in the playoffs. So this is still new for them. It's still brand exciting. Not saying, it's not exciting when, a team like North Dakota State or South Dakota State, Montana gets in the playoffs, because it's always going to be like that. But this is still a novelty in Clarksville.
I wonder, and we talk about this at the FBS level, Alabama tends to break teams. I wonder if Chattanooga, coming off that 66-10 loss to Alabama, and what kind of impact that has on their team going into this game. Before that, the week before, the game before, they had a bye week before Alabama in preparation for that for that one. But they only lost 17-14 against Furman. Mm-hmm. So this is a team that has the ability to come in to into Clarksville and get a win. So it's not going to be easy. What is the one thing Austin Peay needs to do on Saturday in order to ensure a second round advancement?
I think they're going to have to be efficient with the ball. There have been times where they just have drives that nothing happens. And it's kind of an interesting offense because they can score in a single play. They have some incredible playmakers at wide receiver, 3 different guys with Trey Shackelford, Trey Goodman, and Cam Thomas, who can score on a single touch. Especially Cam Thomas. He's one of the best return men in the FCS this season. Those guys all over 600 receiving yards this season. So they've been getting plenty from Mike DeLillo. I think that those guys are going to have solid days. They're going to need to be able to stretch the field, which will open up the running lanes for Javon Jackson, be able to maybe open up the middle of the field for guys like tight end Jordan Goko, for guys like Kenny Odom. They're going to need to be able to play their game. They're going to need to be able to not turn the ball over. That obviously goes without saying. They're going to need to make sure that Chattanooga can't hold the ball too long, because, of course, the more your opponent has the ball, the less you have it. Again, usually something that goes without saying, but I think it's going to be very important for these guys to do, because that's how you win football games, especially at home and especially in big games like this in the playoffs. Of course, last time Austin Peay was in the playoffs in 2019, they won a couple games. So it's a group that has seen this happen before. They've been able to get there and been able to get it done. But this is a new coaching staff since then, a lot of new guys since then. So we're gonna see what happens. But I think overall, it's going to be about taking care of the football, and it's going to be about cashing in on your opportunities when you have them. Because there have been times where they get into the red zone or near the red zone, but they can't cash in. They got to settle for field goals. And if you're settling for field goals in this game in the postseason, it doesn't necessarily feel like a win when you're getting just 3 points. When you're in that red zone territory, they're going to have to be able to score.
Yeah. And just as a note here, Chattanooga gives up 150 yards a game on the ground. Austin Peay runs for 144. So that may be the key there is
take the over on rushing yards is what you're saying.
Just maybe that's where the exploitation comes from the Govs.
Brady, McATAMNEY, and Main Street, Clarksville joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Brady, we mentioned fourth-year coach Scotty Walden, 26 wins during his tenure in Clarksville, fourth all-time in APSU history. How nervous is Gerald Harrison right now?
I think there's definitely some sweating going on. I have already seen some fan bases on Twitter or X saying Scotty Walden is, kind of this young coach. He's been winning games at the FCS level. His offenses are putting up numbers in bunches. I like this guy for our team. I've seen, my own Michigan State fans saying it. I saw Mississippi State fans saying it. Like I said, he's a Texas guy. So, Texas A&M has an opening, though they're probably likely to go for a bigger fish with all that oil money they got. But I think there's definitely going to be teams that are looking to take him, especially if they have offensive coordinator positions available. Because, like I said, he's an offense guy. Kind of similar to what I saw from my own alma mater, Grand Valley State Division II powerhouse. Their head coach of the last decade or so, Matt Mitchell, was actually hired onto Luke Fickell's staff at Wisconsin this past season. I think I could see something like that happening with Scotty Walden, going to coach. Maybe be an offensive coordinator or be a quarterback's coach or be maybe a wide receivers coach somewhere. And that could happen at a big school, at a bigger coaching staff. And if he has success there, sky could be the limit for this guy because he is a good football mind. He gets the most out of his players. His players absolutely adore him. And this is the type of guy that I think is definitely going to have programs lining up to have him in their locker room.
It's going to be a lot of fun Saturday. Again, Chattanooga coming to the Forterra Stadium on the campus of Austin Peay. Can't say that about all of their home venues. But this one is, and it will be at 2 o'clock kickoff and should be a lot of fun. It'll be on ESPN Plus. You can watch it, and looking forward to just seeing playoff football here in Middle Tennessee. Brady, thanks for taking time over Thanksgiving to hang out with us, and we look forward to talking with you again soon, man.
You bet. Thanks, fellas.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best-looking girl, Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Welcome to the 2023 Magical Holiday Home Tour, coming for one day only. Immerse yourself in the spirit of the season as you explore stunning displays, twinkling lights, and charming decorations. The general admission tour of area luxury homes, including historic Rosemont, and a special tinsel tour of the original Fairview Plantation Mansion. Come and experience the warmth of the holidays by touring spectacular luxury homes. It's an event you won't want to miss.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor.
I thought I could hold my liquor.
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton here on this wild and wacky Wednesday. The weirdest and wildest news from across the world will come your way here in just a little bit. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about some college hoops as we have on the line with us our favorite college basketball voice. That is Joseph Sullivan. What's going on, man? Long time no talk, but it's hoops season.
Yeah, I haven't talked to you guys since March, and it's great to be back on. Thanks for having me. It's Monday night. It all starts at college basketball. People I know are probably preoccupied with other things like the Titans, but not me. I'm ready.
You are ready. Not only are you ready, but you are helping get people ready with your blog, NashvilleHoops.blog.
Thanks for mentioning that.
I'm looking forward to keeping up with this thing as this season progresses, because we know that you are a mid-major aficionado, as are we. And in your introduction here, it says we're here to talk Nashville hoops, Belmont, Lipscomb, MTSU, TSU, and Vanderbilt. And again, if you are a college basketball fan in this area, it would behoove you to find and probably bookmark NashvilleHoops.blog. And Joe, your name came up last week as we were talking about the NCAA's atrocious decision as it relates to the NIT going forward. I'm not sure you can say anything that we haven't already, but give it a shot.
Yeah, probably not. And I, of course, agree with you that I do think it was atrocious. And I do think this is the beginning of the end, probably, of NCAA basketball as we know it, as the football schools decide to take all their teams and play among themselves and not include schools that are mid-majors. And at some point, maybe not in my lifetime, I hope I don't live to see it. I'm kidding. That the NCAA tournament will not be what we thought it was, that it'll just be the six, maybe in just the 5 power schools. I don't know what happens to the Big East. They're not football involved, obviously. But they're going to take their ball and go home. And I think this is a trial balloon of sorts for it, that they want to exclude mid-majors and from the NIT, not giving them automatic bids if you win a regular season championship. I mean, it's bad enough the selection committee doesn't give these schools respect for the big tournament, and at least they had that going for them. If they lost their conference tournament, they would have an NIT bid, and now that's gone too. The disrespect is quite large, I think. And I also think it's tone deaf. I just don't think fans like this. I really don't. I think fans would prefer it the way it was. And maybe I'm in my own little world and mixed up and wrong. I don't know. That's the way I think. So we agree, right?
We absolutely agree. I mean, I think if you watch the way the nation was captivated by Florida Atlantic's run last year, Loyola's run a few years ago, different things like that, I think that time of year, unless you are UT, who has lost to, Loyola and Sister Jean, you kind of like that underdog, you like that Cinderella. People kind of gravitate to that, and so the NCAA has taken that out of the mix from the NIT standpoint, and again, it's just so obvious. After you saw 3 of the 4 teams in the semifinals of the NITB, North Texas, UAB, and Utah Valley.
Right, exactly right. Yeah, and I guess this is the revenge for this. It's because that happened, they felt they had to do this. And look, the NIT in the grand scheme of things is not that important. I think we can all agree on that. It's an afterthought. Only, people who are obsessed with college basketball really watch it. I count me in. But it is. But it just, to me, it seems like it's the trial balloon to do something bigger, and that really will be damaging to college basketball as we know.
It feels like the trial balloon, and it feels like the NCAA is just kind of Bigfooting this whole situation.
It really does.
I wonder if this isn't a way for the NCAA to try and keep the olive branch out there to keep football schools from creating their own division.
You could look at it that way. I mean, I guess that's a possibility. So we're just going to give you everything you want, so you'll stay, and the heck with the rest of the membership. I guess you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's the other thing that was floated recently is Fox TV trying to start its own postseason tournament with Vegas? Just teams from the in Vegas, just with the schools from the football conferences. Same type of thing. They're going to be beholden to their TV partners. That's where they get the big money. So as lousy as that would be, I just wouldn't be surprised if it went through.
Well, here's the thing, though. Again, it's the National Invitational Tournament. NCAA schools are they bound to take an NIT bid if they are offered it?
No. So
they could potentially play in this Fox tournament, whether or not they're invited to the NIT. So I mean, I guess there's that.
Yeah, there's lots of teams that have turned down NIT bids over
the problem is because let's look at these two side by side. You've got Fox who's talking about a Power 6 conference only tournament in Las Vegas, or you can go to the NIT where UAB or North Texas or whoever might beat you. Now your program is getting beaten by mid-majors. That further solidifies your place in the world of college basketball. Or you can go over here and you get, if you're, let's say, Wake Forest and you get beat by Illinois, not that big of a deal.
That's true. It's true. It's. I think here's the solution. We just have to enjoy the NCAA tournament in its present form for as long as we have it.
There you
because
go.
I think its days are numbered.
There you go. Joseph Sullivan, former Boston Globe editor and operator of NashvilleHoops.blog, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
I thought you might ask me about Josh McDaniels today, getting whacked by the Raiders.
Oh, well,
he would know.
Yeah. Now that you mention it.
So I think he gets classified as someone who is a coordinator and not a head coach. There's been a lot of them through the years.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. But I mean, to be a head coach, you got to run the whole team. And I think it's pretty clear that it's not the job for him right now. I mean, he's failed twice miserably.
That he has.
Miserably.
And you said the exact same words. That he
miserably.
Failed miserably twice. So.
Yes.
Anyway.
Joe, one of the teams that you'll be covering on your blog is Vanderbilt.
Yes.
What do you make of them as they head into the 23-24 season?
I think they're a real question mark. I don't think, there was talk last year that they were on the bubble at the end of the year. I guess they were. I don't think they're really any kind of a legitimate candidate for the NCAA tournament last year. I mean, they had some horrible early season losses, including one to Grambling State. And what they've got to do is to have any chance at all is to take care of business against the so-called bye games where they're paying people to come to Memorial Gymnasium. Jerry Stackhouse said at SEC Media Day that they're not going to – he literally said they're going to run it up on these teams because that's the way you improve your net rating So, of course, I couldn't help but think that he couldn't run up on Grambling. He lost to him last season. But I checked in with Joe Lenardi, who's a friend of mine, the ESPN bracketologist, whether that's actually true, if running it up on these types of opponents would help them. And he said it is true, that Jerry's correct, that the best way to increase your net ranking is to beat the spread against the team you're playing. Not that, well, actually, the Vegas spread often is the Pomeroy rankings now, the Ken Pom ratings. So that he's right about that goal. So let's hope he can do it. What it comes down to with Vanderbilt is I still think they have a lot of unknown pieces. They have two good guards in Tyrene Lawrence and Ezra Manjone, but those two players are flawed. They got to rely on some transfers. A big kid from Notre Dame, his name is Van Allen Lubin, and a shooter from Lehigh named Evan Taylor. I haven't seen these guys play. I've seen the other 4 teams that we write about on our blog practice in person. I haven't seen Vanderbilt. I will see them Tuesday night against Presbyterian. So I'm really unsure, Mo. I wish I could give you a better answer. I would say I'm dubious. I think I don't have high hopes, I would say.
Tell me about Tennessee State.
So Tennessee State, I think, is really interesting. They have Marcus Fitzgerald coming back to play his 4th-year guard, Nashville kid, Pearl Cohn High School, and he's very steady. And then they have a transfer from Eastern Illinois. This kid was the newcomer of the year in the OVC, and he transferred from Eastern Illinois to Tennessee State. That gives them a really good backcourt right there, a veteran backcourt. And then Penny Collins, their coach, is very high on this kid named Jarrett Jidoba, who's a transfer from Florida, grad transfer from Florida. He has not done much at Florida. He is huge, 7 feet, 300 pounds, and Penny feels he can change the whole program, that he can make a huge difference for them. And then they need Christian Brown, their forward, who's a transfer from Georgia, but he's been at Tennessee State. This is his 3rd year. They need him to stay healthy. He's a good player. The OVC is not what the OVC was even 2 years ago. If they're decent enough, I think they could be a contender in the OVC, and they might make the NCAA tournament.
7 foot 300 isn't something you find walking around in the Ohio Valley Conference.
You sure do not.
I would tend to agree with Penny that that's a difference maker.
It really could be. And the practice I watched, he's pretty. He's not stationary. He's not. It looks like his feet are good, and he can get up and down. So I think Penny is always a confident guy. But I think it's interesting. And the other thing is their schedule's not that challenging. I think they can win some games. So I like them.
That makes sense. Belmont, as you just said, the OVC not as strong as it was just 2 years ago as Belmont and Murray State left. Belmont picked 5th in the Missouri Valley Conference after finishing tied for 3rd in 2022-23.
That's got to be a little culture shock for them. I mean, I know that they knew that the level of competition was going to go up, and that's why they left. But I don't think they expected to be 5th in anybody's league.
I'll be honest with you. I think they shocked the world last year when they were 3rd. They certainly shocked the Valley. Do you think that they could shock the Valley again?
So I guess the way I described them on the story I wrote on my blog is they are intriguing but untested. So look, they have a first-team All-League player coming back in Cade Tyson, known quantity. Keyshawn Davidson is a guard who originally played at Tennessee Tech and then transferred to Belmont. He was hurt all last year with a shoulder injury, but played through it. He's healthy. He's
Oakland kid.
Yeah, he's a real solid player. And they have a sophomore guard, Jacoby Gillespie, who could really bloom this year. But the real key will be this player, Malik Dia, Murfreesboro. He transferred from Vanderbilt. Like he had a couple of moments at Vanderbilt. Like he had hit like 3 threes against Kentucky, as I recall. And you see the talent that when I was at the Belmont practice, he is obviously the biggest, strongest, most talented kid in the gym. And Casey Alexander said to me, he has a chance to be the best player he's had at Belmont. That being
I can see that. I saw him in the East-West All-Star game at the end of his senior year coming out of Ensworth. He's about 6'7", 6'8", about 220-ish, and he's got I don't know how it didn't work at Vanderbilt, but he's got it. I mean, handles, shot from the perimeter, can get to the rim. I'm excited about him at Belmont.
If he were to fulfill potential, they have a chance to win the MVC, but it won't be easy, as you guys said. I mean, this is much tougher league than they're used to playing, and there's a lot of good competition in there. Drake will be very good again. Northern Iowa has everyone back pretty much. That's the main competition. Bradley will be good, and the road trips are tough in that league.
You're right. That's what I was thinking. You know, as much as the competition, it's the places that you have to go.
But they got to come to you too.
Yeah.
It ain't as tough coming to Nashville as it is going to Northern Iowa and Peoria and places like that, I don't think. No.
So I was at their tip-off luncheon Monday, and the kids were the players that were they asked them about the MVC. Steve Lehman asked them about playing the MVC, and they talked about going on the road there and how the venues are like the OVC can't compare to it. These are big arenas with people in the stands cheering very hard for their home team. It's a different environment, and it's a tough place. They're tough road trips there.
Arenas, not gyms, as we heard somebody else say. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, that'd be a great. Where do you what's the definition of when a gym becomes an arena? You know, it's a good question, right?
It really, well, I mean, that's kind of what, I guess whoever we were talking about with the Pac-12, with going to, with Gonzaga going to the Big 12 potentially, going from playing in gyms to playing in arenas on the road is a big difference every night. So, it is interesting, but I think Belmont certainly has an opportunity to be very, very successful this year.
We'll see. I think we'll see. I want to. You got to. Dia has to come through, and he hasn't done it yet. Even at Vanderbilt, just moments. So we shall see. They start Monday night at home against Georgia State.
I think the team I'm most interested to hear his perspective on is Middle Tennessee State, because I think we've heard from Nick McDevitt enough. We've heard from Nick.
We've heard from Justin Buford.
Yes.
At CUSA Media Day. What are your thoughts about Middle?
I heard your interview with Nick. Great guy. Nick, as always, a positive person. And the question I asked him when I talked to him was do you make your own schedule? And he said his assistant. I got to look at my notes. Wes Long, I think. Wes Long is his assistant. He does it, but Nick has final approval. And
then they should both be fired, right?
Well, this schedule, it's just very unusual. It's filled with these mid-majors that are really hard. A lot of them are home games, though. But there are games that could go either way. And they're still a team. And I think the way Nick phrases it, people that were the 4th, 5th, and 6th guys on the team now have to be 1, 2, 3. They're all kind of moving up the ladder after being there. And so they got to do more. And they haven't done more. And these, they have a team coming in next week. Monday night, they have Northern Kentucky. Monday night, who's picked to win the Horizon League. Then Thursday night, they have Stephen F. Austin coming in from the WAC, who's picked 2nd in the WAC. And these are, you go on, and their whole schedule is filled with these teams picked at the top of these mid-major leagues that could pick you off if you're not playing well. So it could be a doomsday march for them, or I tell you, the reverse is if they won all these games, suddenly you might be thinking about that large bid because they collect so many good good net rankings.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll win some, they'll lose some, is what I think.
Sure, but I mean, you add UAB, who is consistently good, Missouri State and Belmont out of the MVC we just talked about, and then they go to St. Mary's.
Yeah, that's a great game to play. They'll lose. Because very few people win there. Speaking of gyms, that's that's a bandbox, the McKean Pavilion out there. It's the other place they go is Southern Utah. So the CUSA has, you guys probably know this, but in case the listeners don't, has an alliance with the Western Athletic Conference. So they play 2 games against each other, and the home game they got was Stephen F. Austin, and the road game is to Southern Utah. Which how you get to Southern Utah, you go to nowhere and make a right. It's It's really in the middle of nowhere, and I don't even know how they're going to get there. It's like a coin flip. You fly to either Phoenix or Vegas, then drive forever. I swear to God.
Well, but that being said, tough out of conference schedule, should be very competitive in their conference.
Yes, I think the CUSA is not as good as it was. I think many of the best teams went to the American, so they have a chance to do well there. But again, I think even worse than Missouri Valley, some of the trips. Holy cow. El Paso and Mexico State, and these are tough trips.
And pretty good teams once you get there.
Yes, and the two I just mentioned are very good home teams. There's a great tradition at both those schools.
Man, basketball season is getting ready. I'm excited. I mean, this is going to be a really intriguing year, I think, Joe. It feels like one of those years that the top even is not clear. There's no clear cut. Hey, these are the teams that we think are going to be there at the end of the year, and nobody's really arguing it. Everybody is kind of vulnerable right now.
I think also what makes Chris, I think I agree with you. It's a good point. Is the name, image, and likeness. As much as some of us may cringe at it, and I do, because it's not traditional. But the fact is, it has allowed players to return, to stay in college, and makes a lot of teams better. The transfer portal, if you start looking at like pro free agency, becomes an interesting aspect to it. But like it's 100 tickets in, the 7-footer transfers to Kansas. That makes them a super team practically. And then I saw them on TV in an exhibition game Sunday, lose to Illinois. Illinois looks really good. So I think there are going to be a lot of really good teams up there. But as you said, no clear-cut one. I must admit, if I had to pick a team now to win the national championship, I think I like Duke. Just really like their mix of players.
Who is this year's Florida Atlantic, and why is it Florida Atlantic?
Their schedule is going to be a lot tougher. They will not do what they did last year. A lot tougher non-conference, and they're in a tougher league with the American. And it's funny. The nights I caught them, I caught the Middle Tennessee beat them, and I was like, so what's the big deal? And then they went to the Final Four. I think I would foresee them leveling off this year, especially. Now you're going to ask me to pick who's going to be this year's Florida Atlantic. It's difficult at this hour. I don't feel completely nationally studied, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think Drake is a team in the MVC that has the Player of the Year back in DeVries, and they brought in a bunch of good transfers. Drake is a very interesting team. They're the rightful favorite in the MVC, and I think they're going to be very good. They might be someone who could do something like that.
The thing about Florida Atlantic, though, Joe, is they get everybody back from that team. And, they lose the element of surprise, obviously. But those guys they're a Final Four team. They are as tested as you can possibly be, and they get everybody back.
Yeah, and it's boy, I tell you, it's such the margin of error is so thin. Like I was there at the game when they played Memphis in the first round. Game could have gone either way, all right down to the wire, and they win. And it's like then
Memphis could have saved everybody a lot of trouble.
Definitely a game that could have gone either way, and that's the way the tournament works. No one gets through.
And now that's a conference game.
That's right. Hey, Memphis should be interesting too. They'll be good. And hey, I shouldn't leave out Tennessee. They're going to be great. That exhibition game the other day against Michigan State was very impressive. They might score some points this year, which would really make a difference.
We don't want to hear that Tennessee might be great.
I got to deliver that message.
That's just going to be
battered ball syndrome is real.
There's no doubt. Yeah, Joe. As always, it's a pleasure. We will certainly be talking with you much more as basketball season continues, and we look forward to that. We appreciate you. And again, folks, visit NashvilleHoops.blog because that's where you will find the most comprehensive coverage of Middle Tennessee college basketball. There's no question.
Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we react to the college football playoff rankings. Should be fun. Right after this, stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well-rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
They have always met wildest expectations as far as taking care of my teeth and my health. You know, teeth health is very important now to your heart. And I told him one day, I said, I'd love to have nice teeth and nice hair. And he said, well, I can take care of the teeth, but I can't take care of the hair. And I said, you can make my teeth? He said, yeah. I said, well, let's go for it. And he did. And I have been tremendously pleased. Dr. Hart, if you need him at night, he's here. This staff here will take care of you 24/7. You don't have to worry about, I can't get a hold of my dentist, my tooth's hurting. No, they will be here for you. And if I could get Dr. Hart to take that same artistry that he has and grow hair, then he would be double rich.
Welcome back in now to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. A lot of great games to pick, so let's do it. Yeah, a little Tone Loc action there. Mo, do you have our results from last week?
I do.
I have regressed back to the 4-6 mark.
You have indeed regressed back to the 4-6 mark. The bad news is you took Justin with you.
No.
Yes, Justin was 4-6 as well.
Darn it.
I, on the other hand, was 6-4.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But we all lost the bonus game of we all picked North Carolina to cover against Clemson. Clemson was a 7.5 point favorite. Clemson won 31-20. So we all took Carolina. We all lost. Justin did take Texas to cover 8.5 against Iowa State in a 26-16 Longhorn victory. Both you and I missed that one. You and Justin each took Tennessee to cover 10.5 against Georgia in a 38-10 loss. I took the Bulldogs.
That was smart.
That was smart.
That was a very smart, educated decision by you, Mo.
Yeah. Let's see.
I got App State right. I don't know if y'all did too.
We
but I know
all
I
got
did.
App State right in a 26-23.
It just felt like one of those App State games.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do LSU and
And Georgia State? We did. We did.
31.5.
LSU was a 31.5 point favorite. We all took LSU to cover, and 56-14 the Tigers did.
So funny about that though is I saw on one of the apps that allow you to give money to it that Georgia State was up 14-0. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
And I picked the spread and I lost because I picked Georgia State to cover and they didn't.
No, they did not. Oklahoma at BYU. The Sooners were a 24.5 point favorite. You guys both took the Sooners to cover. I did not trust Brent Venables, but I did not count on Dylan Gabriel getting knocked out. Literally.
That was
But BYU covered. Oklahoma won 31-24. Speaking of 31-24, that was Michigan's winning margin at Maryland.
Hey, I got that one right.
Yes, you did. The Wolverines were a 21.5 point favorite. You picked Maryland to cover. The Terrapins did. Justin and I both rode with the Wolverines and came up short. So,
and I remember you being pretty adamant about that too, Chris. So congrats, man.
He was quite adamant about that. So, Justin is 60-60 on the year, 69-63 with the bonus picks. Chris, you are 57-63 overall, 65-67 with the bonus picks. I am 59-61 and even 66-66 with the bonus picks. So,
all right, let's get.
With that said,
let's get
that
into
being
it.
Said, as the guys say right before they announce
their transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Then it's when you pick a hat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Starting it off, big noon kickoff at the big house.
Mm-mm.
Ohio State at Michigan. Michigan, a 3.5 point favorite in this one for the first time in Harbaugh's tenure. A favorite.
Michigan is a favorite.
Michigan is the favorite.
At home against Ohio State.
That's correct.
And what's the number again?
3.5.
Minus 3.
So it's basically it's a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Justin,
I am one to hold grudges, so I will not be picking the Wolverines this time.
I understand.
No, I'm just kidding.
That leaves Ohio State then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, for me, I think Ohio State wins the game. So,
well, if you think Ohio State wins the game, then you pretty much think Ohio State covers because 3.5. I mean,
well, if Ohio State wins,
Michigan. Well, there you go. Yeah, because Michigan is favored.
Right.
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins the game as well. I hate being in position of having to pick Ohio State, but right now I kind of feel like Michigan is public enemy number one.
Right.
All right, here you go. We talked about it on Wednesday. Kentucky at Louisville, 11 o'clock on ABC. Wildcats, 6.5 point dogs on the road to the number 10 Cardinals. 6.5 points.
Kentucky.
How did Kentucky do last week?
Did Kentucky play?
I don't think they played.
Or did they play South Carolina?
Oh, they did.
Louisville is a 6.5 point favorite
at
home against Kentucky.
That's a
We have been very concerned about the direction in which Kentucky is trending.
We have.
It's been pretty fluctuating. Hasn't it been like they play close games, but they always lose?
They're 6-5 on the year.
Gotcha.
And
I think they would tell you that this year has been a letdown.
They have lost 5 of their last 6.
Gotcha.
Their only win in that was a 24-3 win at Mississippi State.
which is a good win. I guess considering.
Considering Davis Wade, sure, but
right.
Listen, this is the kind of game that Kentucky wins.
That's what I think too.
I'm taking the Wildcats.
I'm riding with you, Hal.
This is a Mark Stoops special. Louisville's looking forward to winning the ACC over a Jordan Travis-less Florida State, and
they're overlooking this game.
They're overlooking it.
Previous Louisville teams may have done that.
Jeff Brom, though.
I believe Jeff Brom will have this team focused on the task at hand. I'm rolling with the Cardinals.
It's probably not a
right. If they do focus in on it, if they focus in on it, like you said, Mo, then yeah, I think
I'm riding with the Cardinals. I think Jeff Brom has done a great job in year one with this program, and I think that I think they would lose some momentum if they lose this ball game here with everything else that they have in front of them. I think this is a big game for Louisville.
Kentucky has won 5 of the last 6.
They don't win this one,
including 4 in a row.
Yeah.
All right. 2:30 CBS, the Iron Bowl. Auburn coming off a drubbing last week. It's in Jordan-Hare. And every Alabama fan in the country is already dreading it because they knew that something was going to happen, that New Mexico State was going to go in and wake up the demons of Jordan-Hare. Alabama comes in a 14.5-point favorite.
Man, that Iron Bowl has always produced an interesting game.
Well, I mean,
that's one way to put it.
Think about 2 years ago when Bryce Young had to will them to victory in the final drive in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. Right. Like I've seen some really good Alabama teams play against not good Auburn teams and it'd be too close.
Especially at Jordan-Hare.
Yep.
It's 14.5 it's a big line for this game. That being said, I'm rolling with the Tide. Trying to get my discounted custom stone handlers.
You need some rocks.
Need some
Never
rocks.
know when you might need some rocks.
You never know.
Because it's college football and just the environment that it's going to produce and the hope that crowd for Auburn is going to bring into that stadium, I'm going to go Auburn. I think weird things happen on there.
No, the weird things definitely happen there.
Kick six.
Yeah, exactly. I think Auburn is really going to be driven by that New Mexico State loss.
Hey, and if anybody can beat Nick Saban, Hugh Freeze is one of them.
Auburn's not going to win this ball game, but Auburn's going to cover.
Yeah, they're not going to win. But I'm saying if anybody can do it, Hugh Freeze can do it.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to go with the Tigers to cover.
2:30 on ESPN. Number 15 Arizona at Arizona State.
Arizona is 15th.
15th in the country and lost at home to Mississippi State. 12.5-point favorites are the Wildcats.
I think that's too big of a number. I believe I'm going to go with Arizona State. You say Arizona State is not 15, right? It's the one
No, Arizona is 15th.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to go
Arizona State is at home. What time did you say this was again?
This is going to be
2:30.
Yes. So
okay, so it's not it's not Pac-12 after dark or
Not
Pac-X
yeah.
after dark or 2-Pac after dark.
It is not after dark. That's correct.
Arizona State's not very good.
They're not. And Arizona has been rolling.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Wildcats, whose battle cry is bear down, which I don't really understand how that works. But
bear down,
they're
like
not bears, they're Wildcats.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Got nothing.
Yeah.
Cougars and Cowboys.
Whoa, who did you take?
Oh, Arizona. Sorry.
Okay.
I think I'm going to change mine to Arizona as well because peer pressure.
He's like, okay.
Don't blame us.
2:30 on ABC, Cougars and Cowboys, BYU at Oklahoma State.
Cougars and Cowboys. When you say Cougars and Cowboys, I was thinking Houston, but
no, BYU.
BYU, where is it?
At Oklahoma State in Stillwater, 17.5 points for the Cowboys. And boy, that's a lot of points.
17.5. It's a lot of points, particularly for Oklahoma State. I don't have that much faith in them. I'm going with BYU.
I too am going with the Cougars.
I'm going to go OSU here.
All right.
Just a win.
Man, I don't know. They just haven't done anything that makes me think they can beat anybody by 17.5. And the way that BYU played last week, I know it was at home, but still, I feel like they cover the 17.5. All right, let's take a.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. Let's take a break. We've got 5 more to pick, and we'll do that right after this. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this. Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Mockingbird Title and Escrow is an attorney-owned and operated full-service title company in Middle Tennessee. We get your deals closed without worry and fuss. We're a family business that offers the highest level of expertise in our industry when it comes to closing and funding your real estate transactions.
And it's a job I really love. I'm passionate about this. I'm enthusiastic about this. I like to think we're pretty well rounded and can deal with a wide range of needs and a wide range of clients.
Call 615-274-8698 today.
Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio too.
As do we. And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every main street in Middle Tennessee, Coach?
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. It is time for the second half of the picks, so let's get into it. 3 o'clock on Fox. It's the Apple Cup, Washington State and Washington. This series will continue no matter what for the next 5 years. It was announced earlier this week. So Washington State and Washington.
The Huskies are a fill-in-the-blank favorite.
17.5 points. Washington State playing for bowl eligibility. Washington playing for college football playoff hopes to continue.
Washington State playing for the pride of the Tupac.
Of the Tupac, that's right.
17.5, you said?
17.5 in favor of the homestanding Huskies.
I'm going to just tell you, Washington has not always played as sharply as they could. And I think it's something that could come back to bite them here. I think they win the ball game. 17.5 in a rivalry game like this feels like a lot. I'm taking Washington State.
I think kind of in that same vein, like sometimes though they come out and they just whoop people. And I think this
but not always. And that's right. I think that's kind of the frustration with them. That's why I'm not real sold on them as the number 14. But
I'm going to hope that this is one of the times they do that. So I'm going to go Washington.
They've not beaten anybody by 17 points since Cal in week 4.
Really?
Arizona by 7, Oregon by 3, Arizona State by 8, Stanford by 9, USC by 10, Utah by 7, and Oregon State by 2.
Wow.
I think my mic went out. I said Washington State. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm gonna stay with Washington.
I'm going with the Cougars to cover because like you said, Washington plays to their competition, and you've got rivalry game, and you've got all the things that need to go into that. Washington State's not playing very good football. They're just not very good. After starting 4-0, and their last win was last week against Colorado. So, yeah, I think Washington State covers the 17.5, but Washington wins the game.
Justin, just to be clear.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to go.
You sticking with the Huskies?
I am. I'm going to.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No apologies. I just want to be sure. All right, go ahead.
6 o'clock on ESPN, Florida State at Florida Field. They call it the Swamp at Florida Field. It is 6.5-point home dogs are the Gators.
6.5?
Playing for bowl eligibility against Florida State. Neither team has their quarterback. So,
man.
It wasn't like Florida had a good quarterback in the beginning anyway.
Is that how's Florida State's backup? I didn't see him play for that.
Well, they scored 50-something
No,
without him.
yeah.
Well, it was North Alabama. So,
but Tate Rodemaker.
I think.
But Florida's also playing that backup. I think that's the difference maker to me.
Correct.
Yes.
Tate Rodemaker is making his second start. Do you know when his first one was?
Last year when Jordan Travis got hurt, wasn't it?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
He started that game. Travis came off the bench and rescued him.
No, that's the game they lost.
That's right. They lost to Jacksonville State last year. Or was it 2 years ago?
2020.
That 2020?
Wow, deep in his bag over here.
Oh, this dude, I love it. He's a junior.
How old is this?
Well, I mean, if he started again, that was the season opener in 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Him
and that's 4 years, right?
Him and Bo Nix played bridge together.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's a junior.
Well, I think this Florida State team around him is better.
Oh, there's no question. No question.
I'm going with Florida State.
I am as well.
Past history be damned.
Max Brown stepped in for Graham Mertz, who broke his collarbone last week.
Don't do it, Chris.
And did some very, very good things going.
Don't do it, Chris.
I
don't think this is about the quarterback. I think it's about the coach. Don't do it.
Captain Chaos.
It is the swamp, man. It is the swamp. I'm going to go with Florida to cover. Florida State to win. I think Florida State wins by a field goal.
All righty.
Hey,
it's your funeral.
The general public on ESPN, 51-49 in favor of Florida State, but it's 50-50.
Wow, that's interesting. With the spread,
Isn't it?
It's interesting. Huh.
Anyway, 6 o'clock, Notre Dame and Stanford.
Where is this?
In Palo Alto. Stanford, 24.5 points on the Pac-12 network. So we'll never know if we got it right or not.
We should be able to figure it out by Monday.
Notre Dame on the road with their senior quarterback they love
That
so
they
very
love.
much.
That they love, who was somewhere else at this time last year. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't see Stanford covering even 24.5, man. It's a big number, but they're
not very good.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not good.
I'm taking, much as it pains me, the Irish as well.
Correct. Or, I mean, likewise.
You also?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This one's going to be tough for us, Mo. 6:30 on ABC. Clean, old-fashioned hate.
Where is it?
It's in Atlanta.
What's
It's
the
Bobby
number?
Dodd Stadium. 23.5.
What's this? Who's playing?
This is
Georgia.
Georgia Tech hosting Georgia.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia, a 23.5 point favorite on the road, such as it is. Is there really a road team in this game? Well, I mean, there is when it's in Athens, but not necessarily when it's in Alabama.
In Atlanta? Yeah, no.
Man, that's a lot of points.
You're going to see some red.
It's a lot of points, but I just think Georgia is going to be so.
The way they
I
played.
don't think they overlook Georgia Tech. I think they know that Georgia Tech has played some pretty good ball this year, and they're planning to do something special, man.
Listen.
It's true.
Do you know that if the ACC had not gotten rid of divisions, that Georgia Tech would be in the ACC championship game? Just throwing that out there. But
your facts have been amazing. These are
wild. These are wild. Now, again, I say that they didn't play all of their division opponents.
Mm-hmm.
At Louisville and Florida State would have already played if they were doing divisions and all of that. But Georgia Tech has the best record of the former coastal teams. It's just nuts.
Wow.
I gotta say though, the quarterback play by I honestly can't remember
Carson Beck.
I mean, he was on point.
He's legit.
Yeah, he was good.
He is legit. And so here's the thing. I still think that Brent Key's going to dial up some stuff. I think that I don't think this is me hoping that Dante Smith gets a little love out of this one.
Hope he gets a lot of love out of this one, but I'm just not sure that there is enough dialing up to keep Georgia Tech within that number of.
What's the number again?
23.5.
Gotcha.
Would you like to guess what the score last year was?
35.
Georgia did not win by 23, did they?
They did, in fact, win by 23.
By 23?
Like exactly?
37-14. Oh, God. Give me the texters. Rambling direct from Georgia Tech and a heck of an engineer.
There we go.
I guessed and said 35-15, by the way. Just so that was pretty crazy.
You know what? 23. I mean, 3 touchdowns is not a cover.
That's right.
Yeah, give me Georgia.
37-14 is not a cover.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Georgia because what basically kind of what you said, Mo. I think that they don't underestimate. Georgia does not underestimate Georgia.
I don't
Tech.
think they do underestimate them, but
But that was in Athens. That was between the hedges.
Yeah.
So, all right. Final game of the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State and Kansas State, 19th ranked Wildcats, 11.5 point favorites here.
Where is it?
It's at Kansas State
Oh.
in Manhattan in the Little Apple.
Iowa State at K-State. And what's the number?
11.5.
11.5.
I like K-State in this one. I'm going to lock that in.
I tend to agree.
As do I. All right. We are all Wildcats.
All Wildcats we are.
Bear
All
down.
right, let's see here.
Right.
That's a great callback. That is a fantastic callback. Well done. All right, let's see. I didn't have one that jumped off at me for a bonus game, but let's do this one. Let's go Clemson at South Carolina. Clemson only a 7.5 point favorite.
Tell me again. I'm sorry. Clemson in South Carolina.
Clemson.
Where is it?
At South Carolina
Clemson.
at 6:30 at night.
And Clemson is what?
7.5.
Clemson 7.5 point favorite at South Carolina.
And the Gamecocks need a win to be bowl eligible, which means the other Gamecocks are rooting against them.
Well,
Was
Had a
this
chance to do it ourselves and just couldn't pull it off.
this time last year? Was the game the Gamecocks about to play against Tennessee?
it was
No.
a little earlier than this.
This is when they upset Clemson last year.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Gamecocks. I think they might win outright on this one.
Xavier Leggett, man.
I can't see, famous last words, can't see Clemson beating North Carolina and losing to South Carolina, even in Columbia. I'm taking under much duress the Tigers.
I am too. I'm going to go Clemson here for whatever reason. I think you're right. I feel like this is a game that Clemson, and Clemson has really turned it on late. Will Shipley went for 27 last week. First time he's had over 100 yards in like 7 games. Clemson seems to have found a little groove.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go with the Tigers here. But there you go. That's it. That's going to do it for today's show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports today. Hope you enjoyed all of the special guest segments that we played from earlier, and we hope to see you back here on Monday at 2 p.m. where we will react to the world of sports from all around the country. Till then, we'll see you later on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.